Hey guys and girls, Board now back with you, and this is gonna be my latest review of His Dark Materials, and this is episode 5, and the title of the episode is called The Lost Boy. So last week we really got rolling with the main plot and the main sort of protagonist, and it really started building towards the ultimate kind of conflict and battle. Really the strongest episode yet last week, so the pacing so far of this has worked out really well as we're just past the halfway point. So we introduce Lee Scarsbury, his character the aeronaut who has joined the team of Lyra and the rest, and he seemed to add something a little bit different, a little bit more swagger and a different sort of character. And of course, crucially, we got Lyric the bear, who was reunited with his armor and is now on board as well to go into battle with them and to go in search of the lost children. So that really set things up nicely for the rest of the season. And I think this week's episode mostly keeps that going. There's a couple of down points for me. It didn't quite live up to last week's, but it was mostly good as well, and it certainly kept my interest, bar 2 or 3 moments. So there's sort of a new sort of subplot that's introduced this week, which I'll talk about here because that's one of the weaker elements at the moment. I mean, it might lead to something good, but it's that in there's a time jump, so I'm assuming in the present day, and we see like the agents of the Palestinian, Molestrodian, however you say it, that they are targeting this family, like this particular boy. He's called Will, and he lives with his mother at home. He's like a young boy, like 12 or something. And so we see them watching him, and we see the agent at one point approach his mother. The actress playing his mother I've seen in quite a few things actually. I think she's appears a lot on different like TV dramas. She's a good actress, pretty good actress anyway. Pretty reliable. Can't think what else I've seen her in, but I have seen her pop up quite a bit. But yeah, he approaches her in the street, sort of freaks her out, but starts asking about John. And we come to realise then it's the same John, the John who's of course in the other time zone and travelling with Lyra and co. And she actually tells him that John's dead. John died like 13 years ago. So this seems to surprise him anyway, even though it's obviously he's up to something. But he's taken off guard, and he sort of freaks her out, and he wants to talk to her, but she's not really having any of it. But we learn further backstory about that he supposedly died on like one of his expeditions, and that it's been a struggle really for the son, particularly Will, without a father. So we see one scene where he's like at a boxing like training like camp gym, and he's sort of boxing this other kid who's a bit of a bully, and because the mother's really freaked out about this guy coming who says he knows her husband, she sort of comes running dramatically to the gym and is worried about him apparently, and this leads to him being like sort of bullied, like the other kid giving him aggro, and that leads to them getting into a scrap sort of thing. And I think that's part of my problem with these scenes and with the episode, is you just get this sort of forced sort of drama, and it's it's a bit melodramatic, it's a bit soapy, and just because it's obviously, I mean, it's a subplot, and there is obviously because of John, there is a connection and what's going on, but at the moment we've not really seen where it's going, and it still feels like unconnected till we actually see that connection. But yeah, as I said, just forced drama, bit melodramatic, and yeah, just found it quite dull, and the stuff with the mother and the son wasn't that interesting. Not yet. It might sort of grow to be interesting. I sort of wonder as well if maybe this stuff is gonna be built upon in the next series for the next book. I mean, having only read one book, I'm not too sure about that. But yeah, that stuff, yeah, didn't really do much for me. And they're sort of further looking into this, and we sort of find out then they are in different sort of time zones, and that John wanted to leave something behind for his wife and his kid, and it seems as though then there's as a bit of a cover, it seems he's made it look like he's sort of died, and yeah, that's not the reality anyway. But so there's that stuff, and then there's the more interesting stuff really, which is the mission. So Lyra gets like information through her device that about some ghosts at a village, and she has an instinct that thinks it could be connected to Roger and the rest of the missing boys. So she's really desperate to go because she just has this urge that it's important, even though she doesn't know exactly what it's about. And she tries to convince the father at some point, and he's really tough. Really stands by his sort of principles, and says no, it's much important. You are here, and we need you, and he's quite stern about it. And then she tries to convince Maggie. She goes to Maggie, and Maggie's a bit more receptive, but she's also she's cautious. She wants to know then it's really important. Then Lara knows what she's doing before she sort of goes off. But she's certainly a bit more open than the other character was. And I think we see really good acting here. I mean, Anne-Marie Duff, of course, as always. And then also Daphne Keane as Lyra. She's these scenes where she's just bouncing about with energy and just has this desperation to go off. And we're getting more into the character, more in her sense of purpose and destiny, to try and help others and to try and really follow up on leads. So really, really great acting from Daphne Keane in these scenes. And eventually John gives her the kind of the sort of all clear, if you like. He sort of says, well, as long as you return by the next night, then yeah, you can go, but obviously take Lyric with you, and also take Lee Scoresbury with you as well, so it's protection and stuff. So they set off to this village, and we get some quite good scenes with Lyra and Lyric, when she's trying to convince, when they're talking about kind of strategy and can they really get past the bears and try to get into this sort of universe. And yeah, they're really cute scenes, and we see how Lyra's very determined and playful. So some good character stuff. And I think this episode is good because we get more of the universe once again, as you would expect. So they go to this village, which appears to be deserted. And yeah, there's this sort of icy, the landscape looks very like sparse and beautiful. And there's a nice little atmosphere to it as well. And yeah, you can see it's important for Lila. You can see how sort of tense she is about it, but how determined as well. And so she finally finds this hut, and inside the hut is Billy, who of course is Maggie's kid, the one who went missing in the first episode. And she's a bit, I mean, Billy's really out of it, and Lyra notices that his demon isn't around. The demon's gone, which is unusual. Normally demons would always be with their owners. And he seems out of it. He seems weak. He's barely responding to her. And so again, this really builds on the universe of the series, of the story, because they take Billy back to the camp and obviously reunited with his mum. But he's really weak. He's Lyra says herself, it's like he's a ghost. He is barely moving, sort of thing. So it shows you then this is what they actually do, and the effects of having your demon taken away from you. So Billy, in effect, has lost his soul, and it leads to him dying. And just so, again, this is probably me being a bit fussy, but you get some melodramatic moments in here, like Maggie singing to him at one stage, and it's almost to ease him kind of off, sort of thing. But just stuff like that I found a bit on the nose, a bit too cheesy. And then later on they have like a ceremony for him, and kind of there's a group song and that stuff I could have done without, to be honest. But anyway, that they at least sell it quite well, Billy dying, and this feels like a significant sort of moment, and they find out more about what they do and the potential threat to these children. So it's an important sort of plot point. And then the episode ends with a couple of random people sort of attacking the campsite, and they kill a couple of people. And Lyra hears it, and she sort of wanders outside her tent, and she's grabbed from behind, and they kidnap her. And the next thing she knows, she's taken to this sort of base, this kind of facility. Seems to be like a German woman running it. And they say they're going to do some experiments on her, some sort of operation. And it's actually quite telling, because Lyra, comes up with a cover name. She says her name's Izzy rather than giving her real name. So that's, a nice little touch. But yeah, then the penny drops, then, because she sees like a sort of a coat in the cupboard, which they're saying, you need to put this on. And she recognises that style of coat. She recognises then Billy had it on when they found him. And so she figures out, this is the centre, this is the place they take the children when they first capture them. So yeah, they have bad intentions for Lyra, so it seems, and that's how the episode ends. So really strong ending to the episode, really opening things up and raising the stakes once again. The development with Billy, actually going to quite dark places for this sort of thing. The fact that they actually killed this kid off, and the end, yeah, really intriguing stuff with Lyra. There's sort of one other things, and that's Sarah Fine, the witch, visits the father, and of course they have this history. And that scene, there's kind of a bit of mumbo jumbo about, different things. It's it's an alright scene, but there is a bit of like waffle, really, to be honest. But she kind of says about how the best venue to face them is the Northern Lights, which obviously this city in the sky we've seen. That their powers aren't so powerful when they're in that stratosphere. So that's the main thing and she, obviously it's a chance that she'll never see the father again, and she sort of kisses him, and they have a sort of a goodbye type moment, and he cries. It's a bit melodramatic again. Those sorts of stuff, they don't. I mean, that plot doesn't really hit me that much because it is not, we've not really been given that much of it, and it just feels like this sort of just to give him a little bit more to do, a little bit separate from the thing. There's not really that much reason to invest in it. But again, overall, besides a few random moments that just didn't land for me, I thought this was another good episode, and it kept things sort of moving in the right direction. And really good ending as well, as I said. So that's my review of His Dark Materials, the latest episode. If you've seen it, then let me know your thoughts and tell me what you think overall of the series so far. I'll be back with more TV reviews soon. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.